Welcome back to the YouTube, the podcast. Today we have something very, very fun to talk about, so you better take your seat and just chill and listen, just hang out, and hopefully you learn something or it just inspires you, because I feel like I actually get a lot of DMs. Honestly, the way that I've been picking my topics so far on these is that I've been trying to just answer my DMs, but like through these videos, because I do love answering like a single person, but I feel like this is more helpful because maybe more people wonder this too. And this is something that I feel like I have learned recently, and take everything I say with a grain of salt, of course, because everyone's life is so different and your circumstances are different. But let's talk about meeting friends as an adult. I would like to say that lately I feel like I have met some of the most amazing human beings ever, and I feel so grateful to have some amazing people in my life, truly. However, it was not always like that, and I'll give you the context of my life, right? So after high school, and this is something that I feel like a lot of people do, is that after high school you still have your high school friends and you go to a community college or yada yada, so you still have some friends from high school. I moved far away right after high school. I went to a college very far away, so I immediately basically cut ties with anyone from high school. I still talk to a couple of them now, but honestly, like, my high school, like, people, like, I don't even remember them at this point. So just then you're basically starting on a clean slate, right? Now it's like, okay, I have to go out into the adult world and meet people. Because also in college, like, you have classes with people, but like, are you really becoming their friends? Like, you go to parties with people, but are you becoming their friends? You know what I mean? With that being said, I did meet a few people in college and they were like my ride or dies. And I would say two of them I am still extremely close with now in adulthood life. So if you do meet some people in college and you're able to hold on to them, definitely do. I think that's great. But now let's talk about, again, you're now in just adulthood. Without school, high school, whatever, how are you meeting friends? Now, I personally do not work with anyone. I make content for a living. So I have a very isolating job. All of my work has to be alone for the most part. I am not having coworkers. I am not having break time and meeting someone in my office building. So when you're in that sort of scenario, it's an extremely interesting position to be in, and it can be very isolating. Oh, this car is so cool. He knows it too. Anyways, sorry, I just lost my train of thought. So with that being said, you might have a job and you might have met some cool friends through that job, but maybe you're realizing that like these people wouldn't be your friends if you didn't meet them through work. You know what I mean? That happened to me a lot, where like I would be in positions where I'd be like, I really wouldn't be friends with this person normally, but just because they're in my class, or just because I'm lonely right now, or just because they work with me, I am their friend, right? Because I know I'm gonna see them every day. So this past year, I was extremely intentional with finding friends, because last year I did all my work by myself. You know, I'd film, I'd edit, do all this, and I don't have a boyfriend, so I was super isolated all the time. And when you're working 24/7, you don't even notice that you don't have friends, so like it was okay. But then last year, so that was like 2 years ago, I was just total grind mode. Last year I met some people in the city, and I'd always see them at events and stuff, but like, I mean, I tried to be their friend, of course, but I really wouldn't be their friends normally if they weren't just also some sort of content creator or this or that, and I would see them at events. You know what I mean? Like, I just feel like I would have never gone on my way to meet that person because maybe our morals don't align, or maybe our beliefs don't align, or maybe they're kind of like an energy vacuum. The people you surround yourself with are so important because they can either be A, a battery for you, or B, a vacuum. And sometimes you don't notice when people are a vacuum, or you tell yourself that it doesn't really matter because you have to be their friend anyways, right? So I feel like last year I did have a lot of vacuums in my life, and that's kind of why I feel like that took away from my soul and just the content I was putting out. I felt like I was just getting a little bit out of alignment with my purpose. So when I started 2025, I prayed and I was like, I want the best of friends this year. I want to be so intentional with the select few people that I meet and that I get to be friends with this year. And I want them to be lifelong friends. I want to build longevity friends. I want to build genuine, authentic relationships that, like, I know would be at my wedding. That's what I always think about. Like, who would I want to be at my wedding? Like, who would I want to be a bridesmaid? And so I started this year off like that, kind of feeling very isolated, kind of feeling very drained, and literally not having any way to meet people. Then, God has really just opened doors ever since. The people I've met this year, and I will say also just the friendships I've cultivated this year, I feel so filled. I feel so grateful. I love them to freaking death. I feel like I have a lot of people in my circle now. And one way that I did this, there's a few different ways. First off, I thought about the people that I already knew, that lived near me, that I maybe haven't spoken to in a while, or I just haven't, reached out in a while. And I knew that I always loved talking to that person. I always loved working out with that person. I always loved just doing life with that person. And I reached out to them. I did that with a few people. I went and got coffee with some people. I lifted with some people that I just hadn't really kind of cultivated those friendships in a while. And I just poured back into them. And just, as I remembered it, our energies were great together. And now I have some people that live by me that I'm like, hey, like, let's go get a lift, or let's go do this, or we text like funny memes to each other. It's like stuff like that, like, actually means a lot, because when you don't have that for a while, like, you really forget what it's like to just like laugh and like have like a friend that isn't using you for business purposes, or isn't using you for clout, or isn't using you, like, they're just people that you make you laugh, like, you genuinely just like talking to them, you have the best conversations, and they're just a battery. So that's what I did. So I have a couple people close to me now, which was great. Second thing is I actually traveled a lot this year. Now I know that's not possible for a lot of people, so that's why I'm saying take everything I say with a grain of salt to your situation. But for my personal abilities, I was able to travel. Now, not everyone that I met while traveling ended up being a great friend, right? I still had to be strategic with it. But I will say that there were some people that I genuinely think God put in my path along the way that I had to meet, because it made my heart feel so full. And also, I said yes to a lot of opportunities. So there was like one person, they asked me like go with them to this one little weekend trip. I've never really hung out with this girl like too much outside of events and stuff, but you know what, I did it, and she actually is such a good, genuine person also. So saying yes to things, it opens a lot of doors. And then yeah, there were some people that I met that I'm like, no, like, I'm actually never gonna speak to this person again, and that's okay. It's okay to, try a friendship, try talking to someone and be like, you know what, actually I really felt like a vacuum, like they were a vacuum to me afterwards. I'm glad I met them, I'm glad I got to do this thing with them, but I think I'm not gonna really keep them close now, like you can set your boundary, and then keep close the people that you do feel like were just such a battery, or inspired you, or you just had the best talks and stuff with. So personally, let's get into the nitty-gritty of that. So some people I genuinely did just meet randomly. Like one girl at the gym that I was at in Miami, I talked to her and she was like the sweetest human ever. And we got lunch, we went to church the next day, and that was totally random. It was just because I went up to her and I said, hey, like, I like your outfit. Like, sometimes it's that easy. So I did do that. Some people I did try to meet through social media, which that sometimes works out well and sometimes it doesn't. Again, it's a hit or miss, and that's just how life is. So when that happens, like sometimes I'll like see like, oh, this person seems like they have the same beliefs as me or yada yada, and I want to go to this town anyways, let me plan a trip and see if they're free for a coffee or this or that. And that actually did work out like a few times. One person in particular, I met her once at Alpha Land in the bathroom. Literally never thought I would speak to this girl again, and then just randomly I was in Fort Lauderdale. I was like, oh my god, you live here, I totally forgot that. Messaged her, like DM'd her. I didn't have like her phone number. I was like, hey, like I'm in Fort Lauderdale, like would you want to like get a lift in or do coffee? That's the other thing. If you ever work out with someone, that's always really good because you get to talk in between sets. It's something you already have to do during the day, and then if you really like them, you guys can go do something else. Or if you don't really like them, oh well, like at least you got to work out in, you know. I ended up staying with her one night actually in Fort Lauderdale, and she, like, such a genuine soul, so sweet, and I absolutely love her so much now. And if I hadn't just gone to those places and tried, I would have never met them. And sometimes I don't know if I'm ever gonna meet someone. Like, if I do plan a trip, you know, like, I don't base it on the fact that someone is there, you know what I mean? Like, I just wanted to go to this place anyways, and then I look into who's there. Because if you're banking on one person, like, I'm gonna go to North Carolina to meet this one person, what if you don't like that person? And then you're stuck like hanging out with them for like 3 days straight or something, and then you feel like it was a waste. But if you're like planning a trip because like, oh, I want to do this or this or this, and I can go on my way to kind of meet someone there, then it's great. And then you're like, well, what's the point of having a long distance best friend? It's actually very helpful. So that's the other thing. This is the fourth point, is that I actually started reaching back out to some of my friends that I met in college or high school or yada yada, that they genuinely were like some of my closest friends, and because we became long distance, we let that distance us. And I didn't keep up with them, I didn't keep calling them, I didn't keep texting them. It is so important to pour back into this relationship. So I started FaceTiming them again, I started talking to them again, and now I talk to like my one best friend like at least once a day. And you don't have to do that. I know that can sound like a lot of time for someone, but if you're just checking in, or then like yesterday we just caught up. I was doing cardio and she had a lunch break, so we FaceTimed. She told me about her last weekend because we hadn't caught up all week. She told me about that, we laughed, yada yada. And then you plan trips here and there so that you get to see each other again. So I'm going to visit her again soon for 4th of July, and then she's going to come back with me at the end of July. So when you're able to keep in touch with those friends that you know you do love, just because you're distant now does not mean that you have to stop talking to that person. They can be just as fulfilling to your soul as someone that you hang out with in person. Like, those friendships genuinely make life worth living because you have someone to do it with. Like, I can't tell you how isolating it feels to work 24/7. And I don't have to tell you if you know how that feels. Like, if you're watching this video, you probably know how it feels to feel isolated. It freaking sucks. And it honestly, you don't even notice it. If you're working so much, like, you don't notice it for a while. Or if you're just going out on the weekends and drinking with friends, like, you don't notice it. Those types of friendships, I'm done with. I'm 23 years old, right? I've had friends that I just go out and drink with. I've had friends that I go to parties with. I've had acquaintances. I don't like, and they're great. Okay, they're great for some things. If you're in a new city, if you're, you know, you just need people to hang out with or go to events with, they're fine. But if that was the extent of my friend group, I can't do it. I need genuine relationships that last a while. I need genuine relationships that I know are going to be at my wedding. That is always my goal. These people are going to be at my wedding, and they make me feel happy when I'm with them. I know that I can laugh. I know that I don't have to put a face on. I know that they inspire me. I think that is so important, and it's okay to invest time to do that. It has taken me time to do that this year. Was it fun traveling all these places and having some of these people not work out, or meet some people that like I didn't really vibe with, or take time away from work to do these things? No. But you're pouring into your future self. Like, I invested time into my relationships, and I'm so grateful. So grateful, because now you know that you have some friendships that you're like, I could talk to this person about some real stuff, and I know that they've got my back. I know that this person isn't just in my life for a couple of years. I know this person is in my life for the long run. Like, I would want a house next to them and we have dinner nights together. You know what I mean? Personally, that's what I value over the small friendships that are just fleeting. I really love those genuine people that just know you for a really long time. So that's my advice, to pour into people. Just a little recap of everything. Pour into the people that you maybe haven't spoken to in a while. And then B is to, sorry, I just made eye contact with someone. B is to go and travel if you can. Reach out to people if you can. Seek out those people that, you know, just believe the same things as you and really align with you. Pour into your long distance best friends. Yeah, I don't remember what my fourth one was, but you remember because you just watched it. And I love you guys so much, and I hope that this helps, because I know how isolating it is to be an adult and not have friends, or even be in college and not have friends, be in high school and not have friends. Like, it's isolating. So when you do find those people, hang on to them and pour into them, because it's worth it. It helps you too. It does fill your soul too. And just be a good friend. Be a good friend. Be supportive. Be listening to their problems. Be empathetic. Show up for them. Show up for them like time and time again, because they will remember when you show up for them, and you will remember when they show up for you, period. I love you, and I will see you in the next one. Bye.